Okay, so today we are going to speak about claims and argument. First, we are going to differentiate between claims and argument because these things are sometimes used interchangeably, and so there is confusion, and some one of these concepts may be used to replace the other. So they need some clarification. So, like very simply, when we say claim it is what you say is true. Like this is what you are trying to prove to your reader. This is what you are trying to make your reader believe after after they have read your piece. It might be an article or a thesis or a book or whatever. So this is the claim. Okay, what you want them to believe or to believe is true. The argument is something that is wider than the claim, which is why the reader should believe that claim. Okay, so the claim is just one part of the argument. An argument is composed, as we are going to see later, or maybe in a later session. An argument is composed not only of a claim, but rather of reasons that support the claim, of evidence that on which these reasons are based, and on warrants or how the evidence supports the claim, and also of acknowledgement, like you acknowledge if there is a counter argument and try to sort of answer it. Okay, so a claim is only one part of the argument. That's why we are going to start with the claims, but it is the most important part, of course. And later we are going to deal with arguments as a holistic structure. So the question is, what makes a good academic claim? We are making claims. Like if you are writing about gender, for example, you are making claims about gender. If you are writing about biopolitics, you are making claims about biopolitics in certain place. If you are making a claim about, if you are, for example, studying feminism or eco-criticism or whatever, you are making claims about these things. So what makes a good academic claim? There are certain criteria. One, and the most obvious, is that a claim must be expressed in a declarative sentence. That's to say, like, what we say in Arabic, جملة خبرية. So it cannot be a question or subjunctive. It cannot be imperative or whatever. It should be a declarative sentence. So this differentiates a claim from a research question, okay, or sometimes even from a research aim. So because a question is a question, and the claim should be a declarative sentence. Okay, so it could be positive or negative, but in any case, it should be a declarative sentence. That's something that we need to know from the beginning. And all the claims we are throughout the session, we are going to make many claims, or we are going to go over many claims, and we are going to see that all of them are declarative sentences. If you spot a claim that is not a declarative sentence, you can point that out to us, please. Okay. The second thing, it should be contested. So readers should be able to disagree with your claim. Okay, so like a weaker claim is something like this. And of course, all of our examples are going to be from plays, because I think all of you are writing about plays. So they are going to be from plays. When we say Hamlet contains many references to death, is that something that can be contested, that your reader can disagree with? This is a question if anybody would like to answer. Can a reader disagree with that? Any ideas? Can a reader disagree with that, or if someone makes that claim to you, can you
No,
disagree?
no,
Really,
because
like,
it's
yeah, go on.
because it is already it's true that Hamlet had a lot of death reference.
Good. So it's something that's difficult to disagree with. That's why it makes it a weak claim. It's not a strong claim. Okay. So in order to make to turn this claim into a strong one, we can say, for example, in Shakespeare's Hamlet, death ceases to be a matter of theological speculation and becomes an issue of material embodiment. So, like this later claim, is it contestable or not contestable? Can you agree or disagree with the later one?
Yes, I agree or disagree.
You can disagree. You can say no, it's more theological than material. Okay, like it's more philosophical than material. So you can't disagree. But with the first claim, it is difficult to disagree. That's why the second claim is a stronger one. So when you are making a claim, and always like self-obvious claims are always weak. When you say, for example, Shakespeare's Macbeth is concerned with issues of kingship, full stop. This is also a weak claim because everyone agrees that Shakespeare's Macbeth is concerned with issues of kingship. So there's no point in making this claim. If there's nobody that disagrees with your claim, there's no point in making it. Okay, because you are making the claim and later the argument in order to convince people of something that it is true. So if they already agree that this is true, that it is true, there's no point in making it in the first place. Okay. The second thing, it must be specific. Okay, so a weak claim could be something like that. Shakespeare explores power in Macbeth. This is very general. Okay, how does he explore power? In what way? In what mechanism? In which characters, and so on. So this is quite general, and that's why it is a weak claim. But if we say, for example, this other one, Shakespeare's Macbeth explores power less as a position than as a condition that is perpetually produced through violence. Is it more specific or less specific?
It's more.
Yes, because the first one, there is nothing to disagree on, whereas on the second one, there is something to disagree on.
Okay, so this is with regard to the previous criterion, something that is contestable. Of course, we can apply this same criterion in number 2, which is contestable, to this one. Shakespeare explores power in Macbeth is something which is not contestable. People always agree with that. Okay, the latter one is more contestable. You are right. Okay, but we are asking about more specific. So, in what way is the second one more specific than the first one?
And the criteria of the power, kind of the power.
Good. It sort of defined what kind of power it is. Okay, so like it gave 2 possibilities: power as a possession, and you possess something. On the other one, power is something that is always produced through violence. Okay, so
Yes.
it specified what kind of power it is, and also specified what mechanism through which power is produced, doesn't it? So,
Which is violence, you mean?
pardon?
Which is violence, you mean?
Which is violence. Okay, so the first one is not specific. That's to say, like in your writing, when you're making any claim, try to make it specific. If you make a claim like the one in the first sentence, that would not be very helpful to your reader. Okay, so then the question is how to be more specific. There are things, if you look into the second one, a specific claim always identifies a phenomenon. What is the phenomenon here? And then the second
Power.
power is the phenomenon. Good. And it identifies a relationship and a mechanism. Did it specify a relationship or a mechanism?
Yes, position
Huh?
and
Position and also
and the
through
mechanism is
violence.
violence.
Good. Okay.
Yes.
So in order to make any claim, if you have a claim that is general, okay, and you want to make it specific, it's not arbitrary. There are certain tools that you can apply to that claim, that you can add to that claim in order to make it more specific. So instead of like naming just a phenomenon, as in the first sentence, the problem with the first sentence that it only names a phenomenon. Power and Macbeth, that's it. Okay, well, the second sentence names a phenomenon, but also identifies relationships through that phenomenon, and also the mechanism whereby that phenomenon is generated. Is that clear, or do you have any addition or any comment on this?
Yes, it's clear.
It's obvious, Doctor.
Okay, so we can go to number 4. It must be consequential. That's to say, it answers the question, so what? Okay, so the so what criteria. So, you know, always a good claim or a strong claim is a claim that answers the consequence. So if we believe that, for example, Shakespeare's Macbeth was dealing with power, the other question is, for what consequence? Okay, if you identify that there is a certain image in a certain play, for example, the image of flower or rose in Twelfth Night. Is it enough to say, for example, Twelfth Night is obsessed or contains many references to flowering imagery? No, it's not enough. The question that the reader is going to ask, okay, so what? If it contains all these references, what does that mean? Okay, so a good claim is one that sort of answers this question. So if we look at this claim, the word blood crops up fairly frequently in Macbeth. Okay, and Macbeth, I mean the play. This also names a phenomenon. This identifies that there is certain imagery, okay, or image that appears very frequently in the play. Is that a strong claim? No. If we want to make a strong claim, we try to answer the question, so what? So we can say, for example, here, the frequent recurrence of the blood imagery in Macbeth, again, Macbeth the play, blurs the distinction between physical violence and moral liability. And this makes guilt a feeling that characters perpetually feel. Okay, so you see, we did not only name like imagery appears, the blood imagery appears in Macbeth, but rather we answer the question, so what? And what does it mean when the blood imagery appears in Macbeth? So what does it do? It blurs the distinction between physical violence and moral liability. Yes?
Can we call this criterion the meaning criterion if the claim is meaningless? Like it just is
meaning?
pointing something that doesn't, yeah, meaning, if it means something. Can
Yeah,
a criterion
we can say, but because the word meaning is very general, and especially in literature, and all we are doing is we are looking for meaning. Okay, so making one criteria about meaning might be less helpful. Okay, so that's why I avoided using that. But yes, it is asking about the meaning. Yeah, but what is the meaning of this blood imagery? Okay, so yes, and one way to understand it is to say yes, it is asking about the meaning. So like if you have a claim in whatever chapter you are doing with, or in the whole thesis, and you see that claim is only naming a phenomenon, and you want to make that claim stronger, one way to do that is to ask, so what? Okay, so you are not only naming the phenomenon, but you are also stating the consequences of that phenomenon, because just naming the phenomenon is not enough for the reader. It's something self-obvious, like any reader who sort of reads Macbeth will be aware by the sheer number of the use of the imagery of blood, but they might not know what it does. Okay, so in order as an academic scholar to make that claim more useful or more meaningful, as Haydar has said, we can add this question. So we ask question, so what? Okay, it must be supportable. Okay, so supportable, of course, supportable by evidence. And this is something that we are going also to talk about when we discuss arguments, because argument, as we said, contains claims and the reasons and then evidence and so on. And later we are going to speak, what makes a good piece of evidence. So a claim should be proportionate to the evidence available. And you should not overclaim, that's to say. Overclaiming, or sometimes we call it generalization, is when you stretch the claim to be larger than the evidence that you have got. So, for example, you might have read 2 Renaissance plays and came up with the following overclaim about the use of counterfactuals. Counterfactuals are impossible conditionals. You might have read that somewhere, but they are impossible conditional. If you say, for example, if I were the king, I would have done so and so and so. Or if you say to someone, if I were you, I would have behaved in that way. And so on. So this is counterfactual. So you read, for example, 2 plays and you see the counterfactuals in these plays and you come up with this claim. Renaissance drama systematically stages sovereignty through counterfactual reasoning. So what is the problem with this claim?
It needs evidence.
Okay, of course.
General. It's too general.
Okay, too general. Okay, so what's the problem with too general? If I read an all Renaissance drama, would that be okay? Would that justify making this claim or not?
No.
It does if I read the Renaissance drama, but like if I read only 2 plays, could I from 2 plays, could I make a claim of Renaissance drama?
No, because you can't from 2 plays make it for all Renaissance drama.
Good. So like we should avoid such kind of overclaiming. Or when you, for example, are discussing trauma or memory, for example, in modern drama, you are studying 2 or 3 plays. And you say, for example, modern drama stages memory as so and so and so. So one examiner might object to that and say, did you read all modern drama? Did you discuss all modern plays? You say no, then they would retort, why then you are making a claim about modern drama. Okay, so if you have studied like 2 plays, you can make a claim about these 2 plays. If you have studied like 4 plays, you are making, or you can make a claim about these 4 plays. You cannot make a claim about all modern drama. Or for example, when I study Hamlet, and I see that Shakespeare's portrayal of female characters is negative, and he's portraying them as weak characters. Ophelia especially, and Gertrude. Could I say, for example, Shakespeare's portrayal of women is negative? Could I make that claim based on my reading of Hamlet?
No.
No, why?
Not all
Because
the plays.
yeah,
You mean
Shakespeare has
for the
written.
one play?
Shakespeare
Yes.
has written 37 plays, I've read one play and I sort of overclaimed in about that. Okay, I did not read any other plays. Okay, maybe if you go to the comedies, you'll see another picture. Okay, so our claim should be proportionate to the evidence that we have. We should not make a claim that is larger than the evidence. So if I want to qualify this one and I say, for example, I present a more defensible claim, a claim that I can defend in front of an examiner or a reader, I can say, for example, in this scene, counterfactual reasoning becomes one mechanism through which sovereignty is imagined as contingent rather than inevitable. So, why is the second claim stronger than or more defensible than the first claim? Why is the second claim more defensible than the first one? Okay, because
Because it's more just because
yeah,
it's more specific.
it's
It
more
is because it's more
specific.
specific.
Bad, yani. What else?
It's highlight the scene. Highlight what
Very good.
where
Highlight the scene. Okay, good. Any other ideas?
Yes, you give reason. You said it is contingent rather than inevitable.
Okay, well, this is right. Okay, yes, and it is stronger in many ways, but relevant to this point, it must be supportable because I read this scene and have come to this conclusion from this scene. Okay, so I cannot say that in this play. Maybe in other scenes in the play, counterfactual reasoning gives another result. So I don't overclaim in the whole play, and I don't overclaim in all Renaissance drama. So that's why when I say in this scene, that makes it more defensible because the evidence I have is taken from this scene. So, in other words, like the claim should not be larger than the evidence. And this is what we call overgeneralization or generalization sometimes. Generalization, like you generalize, and you have one or two examples, and you generalize them to other examples that you have not read. So this is like number 5, and it's very important. And many times, like students overclaim. So a student, for example, has studied only 2 novels or only 2 plays or a group of poems, might make a claim about the whole period. And this is something that is not defensible. Okay, it should be qualified. And this is also related to the previous point. Okay, so stronger kind of claims are often qualified and less absolute. We need, always people give absolute claims. Okay, so let's see how a claim is absolute. We can say, for example, this is how we claim, the play proves that human beings have no free will. Okay, is this qualified or absolute sentence or a statement? in Arabic absolute يعني مطلق. Okay, qualified مقيد. هل لكم أي تقييد هاي لو عامة مطلقة؟
It is absolute.
Absolute.
Absolute, there's no qualification. Okay, so, but when I say, for example, and this is a stronger claim, what appeared as embracing free will in the first 2 acts of the play was converted into retrospective account of necessity in the final 3 acts. Is this absolute or it is qualified?
It is qualified.
Qualified. Okay, so where are the qualifiers like that?
2 acts.
In the
of the-
first 2 acts.
Yes.
Okay, so That's to say, like, I did not make an absolute claim, okay? And so I'm saying, at the beginning, there was the appearance of free will at the beginning in the first two acts, but then in Act 3, 4, and 5, this then turned out to be just on account of necessity. Okay, so the question is, like, what are the qualifiers that we can use in order to make our claims more believable, more credible, that's to say? If you have a claim that you think is very absolute, how would you qualify that claim?
Adding some specifications.
Specification. Okay, good. So here, for example, we have in the first two acts and
First
three
two
acts.
acts.
Okay, so what else? Are there certain words that we can use to do that?
Some evidences.
Evidence. Okay, others, what do you think?
I agree with evidence because
Okay.
we specified that 3 acts at the end.
Okay, no, evidence, when we add evidence, like, we make it supportable, okay, not qualifying. Okay, so there are certain words. These are just some examples. As you can see, for example, useful qualifier, primarily, increasingly, under certain conditions, in these scenes, for example, in Act 1 or Act 2 or whatever, from the perspective of this character or that character, these expressions make our claims less absolute. They qualify our claims. So when they qualify our claims, then this makes the claim more defensible. Because if you say, for example, this is the issue in a certain play, or characters, for example, feel so in a certain play, a reader might object, like, this character does not feel so. So you have made an absolute claim, okay? But when you say, for example, from the perspective of this character, this issue is so and so and so, then this is more defensible because, like, the evidence you have is about this character. So you need to qualify your claim to make it more, as you said, more defensible. And as you see, all these things are related. All these criteria are related, and because when you have evidence that is relevant to a certain character, and you can make a claim about that character, you cannot make claim about all characters. Okay, why? Because this would not be supportable. Because when you make the claim about all characters, then this is less proportionate to the claim that you are having. You remember we said, like, the claim should be proportionate to the evidence. If you are making a claim about something for which you don't have evidence, then that would be less defensible. Do you have any question about this issue? Is it clear? Do you have any
Yes.
comment about that?
You mean that we can add some limitations or boundaries? Something
Yes,
like that?
limitations, boundaries, like, yeah, you see, so, always when you speak about absolute, things, this is less defensible. Okay.
You mean under certain conditions, like time or place?
Yeah, you need to specify, by time, by space, by certain character, by certain circumstances, in a certain scene. Okay. So you need to specify that's to say. And qualification, you can say more specification. Any other question about this? Okay, so, like, then the idea is that you need to avoid making absolute claims. Okay. number 7, a good claim is one that should identify a relationship, not merely two topics. So let's see an example of a weak claim. When we say, for example, the play highlights gender and power in the royal court. Okay, so we are naming two topics, and the play has gender and has power. Okay, so how to make this claim a stronger one?
So we can add a relationship between gender
Very
and power.
good. So, and as it stands now, we're going to speak about gender and then about power separately from each other, as if they are two separate topics. Okay, so in order to make the claim a stronger one, we need to add what? A relationship. So, that's to say, a stronger one can say, for example, the play presents gender as a site where power is systematically exercised in the royal court. So why is the second one a stronger one? Why is the second claim stronger than the first claim?
We show the relationship between power
Good. Between gender and power.
and power, yes.
Yeah, so gender is a site where power is exercised. Okay, so a good claim then, you cannot say, for example, I claim that, or I argue that the play deals with this and this. Okay, or for example, Benin, when you are talking about confinement and surveillance, you cannot say, for example, I argue that these plays stage surveillance and confinement. You have to find out the relationship and how these plays state the relationship between confinement and surveillance, for example. And this applies to every topic of the topics that you or any one of you is studying. Okay, so do you have a question about this one? The number 7 about relationship. Do you have any comment about?
Do you mean that we can add a relationship between two theories, not only?
Yes, you can. Yeah,
Yes.
you can.
Yes.
And even with the second one, you will see, the play presents gender as a site where power is exercised in the royal court. Can we make it still stronger than this one? And can we add other details that make this into a stronger claim?
Yes, we can, absolutely.
Like what? We can add what, for example?
We can show the relationship, how gender affects the power.
Good. Okay, so always like as you are going to say, or as we might have said already, there are questions that you remember we said can give us more information and could be more systematic in making claims. So we add why, for example, and why site, why gender is a site of power. We can add how. Okay, how is gender a site of power? Or we can add the consequence and what happens after gender became a site where power is exercised. So, even though the second claim is stronger than the first one, but still we can make it even stronger itself. Do you have any comment or question on this?
Doctor, I have a question. We can try to show how for instance, the role of female character, how they are affected male, for instance.
Very good. So you are saying the consequence, for example. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Yeah, so you can add as many phrases or clauses to this sentence in order to make it even a stronger claim. Okay, any other comment or question about this one? Okay. This one is very important, should have been at the beginning, but I sort of pushed it back to the end. It should be generated from the text, not imposed upon it. Okay, so how to generate a claim from the text? This question for you. How do we like generate a claim? And when we say it should be generated from the text, not imposed upon it, what do we mean by imposed upon it? And do we sometimes impose claims or certain arguments on the text?
You mean through reading, we can generate claims?
Good, through reading. Okay, so what kind of reading? And does any reading
Something like analytical reading?
analysis? Very good. Okay, good. So what do we do with the analysis? If you can be more specific.
We can figure out some claims.
Okay, thank you. The others, what do you think? And let's like deconstruct this into two questions. What do we mean imposed upon it? Do we sometimes impose certain claims on the text?
Yes, we sometimes yes, because we always try to give our voice upon the text.
About our voice. What else?
Yes.
And are we imposing on the text?
Our judgment.
God?
Like I already have ideas and I want to impose these ideas on the text, even
Okay,
even though the
what
text doesn't
ideas?
have these ideas.
Good, Fatima. Where do you get these ideas from?
From the theoretical part.
Very good, very good. Okay, so this is what happens like with so many writers. And like we try to impose the theory on the text. I have a certain theory, and this theory says blah blah blah. So I come to the text and I try to explain the text in terms of that theory alone. Okay, so that's why you remember I said the text is our Bible. Like we should start with the text. The text should be the guide to the interpretation, not the theory. The theory is something that helps us to understand the text. Okay, so we should not impose the theory on the text. If we do so, the text will lose and the theory will also lose. So that's why always students say, for example, when they write, and many writers, not only students, many even mature writers, they say, for example, I'm applying this theory to this text. This is not true. Okay, so you should start from the text. You should not impose, as you said, like maybe your own opinions on the text, maybe your sort of the theoretical background that you are working on. You should not impose it on the text. And like with regard to your own opinions, to your own positions, like how could you, for example, do you have any examples when a writer imposes their own views on the text? Like we always come to the text not with a fresh mind, not empty-handed. We always come loaded with lots of opinions and positions and perspectives and ideologies. So when we approach the text, we always like try to project these opinions and ideologies and positions on the text itself. So when, for example, the text deals with issues of gender, does it affect your reading of the text, whether you were male or female? And does it affect that or not?
For me, yes. I always stands with female character.
Yeah, okay, so good. So if you are female, you might sympathize with female characters. If you are a male, maybe you do or you do not. So It's not necessarily, for example, female readers sympathize with female characters and and male readers sympathize with male characters. This is not always the case, but the point is our background affects the way we read a text, and this is a given in literary theory. Okay, so that's to say, when we analyze a text or when we make a claim about a text, about a play, about a novel, about a poem, and so on, that claim should be based on the textual analysis of the text. Okay, should be rooted in the texture of the text. Of course, this is not merely textualist position. You can, for example, use the biography of the writer, the historical and cultural context, and so on. But basically, what we are saying is that you should be informed by the text itself. So when we say that we are analyzing the text itself, what we do is that we analyze patterns, okay, and sometimes trends, or tensions, or relations. Okay, so what does that mean when we are analyzing a text? We are looking for the things. What does it mean? Or are you already doing that, or not?
Yes, doctor, to reveal the contradictions within with the text itself.
Got contradiction. So I sometimes like avoid the word contradiction, and I prefer the word tension. So always there are tensions within a literary work. Okay, so yeah, either a tension between an individual voice and a group identity, a tension between a female character, for example, and a patriarchal society, a tension between X and Y, A and B, and so on. So when we are reading, we should be looking for tensions. Okay, so always literary works are rooted in tensions. Okay, what else? Like patterns, strands, so on, relations. And how do you look for these? Why are they important?
Like for example, recurring themes or images.
Very good. Recurring themes of images. For example, when we spoke about images of death in Hamlet. Okay, we see, for example, everywhere in Hamlet, characters invoke the idea of death. Okay, so when I see it recurring once and twice and 3 times and 4 times and 10 times and so on, and then this is a pattern. So is this something that I should capture when I analyze the play or not?
Yes.
Yes, I do. When I come to Macbeth, for example, and I see the word blood with different formations is mentioned frequently throughout the play. Does that create a pattern or strand or not?
Yes.
It does. Okay, so at other times I see relationships, and some relationships are sort of also recurrent in the play. For example, I see in King Lear, for example, I see a relationship between father and his 3 daughters, one of whom is honest and the others are not. And then there is a subplot in which we have also a father with his 2 sons, one of whom is honest and the other is not. So does that create a pattern or a relationship or not?
Yes, it does. Even
does.
in Hamlet, Ophelia and her brother,
Good.
and her father,
Good.
how they
So,
are looking
yes.
for her. Yes.
We have 2 father figures. We have sons, like Hamlet is a son, and later you remember we said like Hamlet is a young man whose father was killed, and later we come to know another young man whose father was killed, who is Fortinbras, and then we come to know a third son whose father was killed, who is Laertes. Okay, so does that create a pattern relationship or not? Does it?
Yes.
Yes, it does. Okay, so These are the things then when I sort of read the text, I'm looking for these things. And these are just examples of the things that we are looking for when we are reading a text. So like when I read the text with a pen or a highlighter or whatever, and then I identify these patterns and then I try to collect them and try to see how each one is interacting with the other, then the claim that I make about the text will be more credible or less credible if it is generated from these patterns.
Of course, it is
More,
more.
more
More
credible.
credible. Okay.
Absolutely.
And which is better, like making this kind of analysis and then arriving to a certain conclusion, or it is rather going to a certain theory, okay, and then projecting it on the play on Hamlet, for example, or Macbeth or King Lear or whatever, and then coming up with a conclusion, which is a better conclusion, which is a stronger conclusion.
The second one you mentioned.
Mhm. The one that is informed mainly by the text or the one that is informed by the theory?
Through the text, absolutely.
By the text. Okay, so
Yeah.
I can use the theory. This is the thing that we are going to discuss later, maybe in a later session. We can use the theory as an instrument, not a decoration, because like many students use the theory as decoration. It is something that like it is nice that other people know that I've read Foucault, for example, or that I've read Greenblatt, or that I've read Harold de Bloom, or that I've read Sigmund Freud, or that I've read, for example, Raymond Williams or Terry Eagleton, and so on. Okay, so I come up with these theorists, and so people sort of will congratulate me for reading the theories. This is mostly what writers think, and mostly like starting writers, early career writers. Okay, think what they need to do with the theory. No, the theory should be something instrumental. And it's not like I apply the theory to that text, but rather I use this concept from this theory in order to examine this problem in this text. Okay, so the theory helps me understand a text. Sometimes I can't identify patterns, I can't identify tensions and so on, but I like the framework from which can help me understand that. So I identify these patterns, and then I might say, for example, maybe Freud's theory of the unconscious, maybe it is helpful in understanding this pattern. Okay, so the theory did not replace the pattern that I have identified, but rather the theory helped me to understand what this pattern means. Is that clear, or is difficult to follow?
It is clear, doctor, because our Bible is the text.
Yes. Okay. Good. Others, what do you have any comments or
So can we say this is just like a systematic process? Like you look for patterns and ideas, and these patterns create some tensions, and then you figure out what are the relations that led to these tensions. I mean, all of these together.
Yes, you can use any. It's not like either patterns or strands or tensions or relations. You can
Yes,
combine them together.
one leads to the other one. Yes.
And as I've said, this is not an exhaustive list. These are just examples of the things that we are looking for in a text. Okay, there are many other textual elements that we can also be looking at, but these are like quite the general systematic things. Any other thing about this point? Okay, as I've said, like we need also to talk about arguments. And as we said, like there is a difference between claims and arguments. Claims are just one part of the argument, but they are like the prominent part. This is the part that sort of takes most of the discussion. But the other parts are not less useful or less important, as we are going to see, like the reasons or the evidence for the warrant or the acknowledgement and so on. But today, for shortage of time, we have discussed these. With regard to the sources that you can consult about these issues, first and foremost, I would suggest The Craft of Research. I might have shared it with you before. I don't know. If not, I will do. Okay. Another book is like Writing Analytically. And there are many other books like who speak about arguments and claims and how to form them. But many of them are not specifically about history studies. Many of them are mostly about social sciences and humanities. So they might be useful more or less, depending on what you need from them. Okay. Do you have any comments or questions? Okay, so we will finish our discussion here. Yes.
Doctor, like, how can like generate the claim? Yeah, the idea of the claim, like
Okay.
from where we can get it, like say. So it's hard to generate the argument or the play to begin to write.